So we are now recording the April 12th, 2019 Small Business Accounting Advisors. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
And Ernest is hailing from Sydney, Australia today.
Yes. I miss you all.
We'll start with Dennis's funny videos.
Can you see this one?
Oh my gosh. That can't be real.
That's not real.
I think so.
Person?
And then I saw this one too. It's kind of a...
It kind of looked like the guy was walking across the street, ran into one vehicle, they bounced him into the other one.
Yeah, no, that's somebody playing with a duck. Yeah, no, it can't be real.
Seen this one?
Well, I expected that.
And then I found another one. Let's see.
Man.
Ah, here we go. Oops. No.
Nope, we lost you, Dennis.
Okay, just a second.
So he's on the train track,
Hey,
taking his bike over. Bike falls, picks it up, falls again.
Is he
Shoot!
drunk? No?
What it says.
Drunk
He is
idiot
drunk.
saved by railway worker.
Right.
Oh, stuff dropped. Oh my gosh.
him.
Oh.
Oh, man.
That's good.
No, you can't make that
Watch
stuff
what
up.
happens.
And there he is still picking up his stuff to take home.
Probably his alcohol.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen. Wow.
Okay.
Okay, let's come back. Thank you. So today is the last Friday before the tax deadline. Lots of people are, as Dennis puts it, undelighted.
Undelighted, yes.
We were talking a lot about this before we were recording. Now there's crickets. I think
Well, the thing that surprises the heck out of me is that whoever thought this was such a great bill that they passed and it was going to save all this people all this money, I don't. If they made the adjustments so that people didn't get their refunds like they are used to doing, I just don't see how they didn't predict that. I mean, I could have predicted it.
Well, yeah, they did predict it. The IRS warned them a couple of times to adjust your withholding. I mean, basically they tried to goose the economy because the withholding tables used to be based on exemptions, and then they got rid of the exemptions, and so they were inaccurate for several months, and then people never adjusted the withholding because they were getting too much. And,
well, they like to get more money back. Who's going to go back and say, "Hey, I don't want this money"?
Yeah,
Is
but
anyone?
I mean, if your food's going up and your rent's going up and all that, you may not necessarily notice the improvement, and then all of a sudden at the end of the year you owe a couple $1,000s rather than get back
Wham,
couple
bam.
thousand.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, what seems to be driving it is that you lost your personal exemptions, which were worth what $4,100 last year or something like that. And so if you had, like, say 3 kids and you lose what $12,000 some odd dollars, and the kids were over 17 or whatever, then you qualify for. They improved the tax credit for children, but if they're over a certain age, I think it was like 17, then and you lose.
I think that's the problem in a nutshell. Not everybody is the same, and they didn't allow for everybody's circumstances. People that had accountants and advisors like us we're ready for this.
Yeah.
People that do not have anything to do with accountants, all they do is the simple form every year, those were the ones that were surprised.
Well,
Yeah.
there was, I was watching the news, this one woman, last year she got a couple $1,000s back. And so she saw that she did her own taxes, I guess TurboTax or whatever. And she saw $8,000. She said, hey, that's great. And then, wait a minute, it's in red. So she owed $8,000. And so then she took it to a tax professional and got it down to about $4,800. But still,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You're
Paying
gonna say something, Dwayne?
$5,000 instead of getting $2,000 back is a way different thing.
Yes, it is.
You were going to say something, Dwayne?
Oh, I was gonna say, when they put the cap on salt of $10,000.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing.
Okay, and if you've got two people that are professionals that are working, and they've got anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000 in state withholding, they lose all of that deduction.
Right.
Especially if they're paying $8,000 or $9,000 in property tax.
Yeah.
So explain what SALT is, state and local taxes.
Yeah, state and local tax, and normally when you're calculating your state and local tax total, it includes both your state withholding tax from wages as well as your property tax. And if you got places like New York or California where
Yep.
you have engineers or whoever are working, and let's say you have a couple, okay, and they make what, 50,000 plus or 80,000 plus a year or 100,000 plus a year, then they're going to have state withholding tax. They're going to be at least $8,000 or $9,000, $10,000, and based upon that cap, they can't deduct that on the
Plus
itemized deductions.
Plus, they've got inflated property values, which drives up the mortgages and, the.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Nowadays, I don't know about you, but out my way, a garage is going to cost you $500,000. So I mean,
Yeah.
and the local agencies, they need more money, so they're gonna jack you on the taxes, and now you're not going to get the benefit for it, not the full benefit anyway.
Yeah.
And that's an old garage too, by the way, not a new one.
Yeah. Thank you, Matthew.
I have a client.
Ernest, you're muted. Go ahead, Linda.
I was going to
I
say,
was just gonna say that's just because you guys are living in the wrong place.
Oh.
You should know you're a California expatriate.
House in Idaho.
We're losing you, Ernest. Sorry.
It doesn't matter. He's not saying anything important about like how horrible California is anyway. So
Linda, go ahead.
client, one of my customers, he owns like 4 properties, okay? No, he has 3 or 4 or 5. But the 2 that he uses as his primary residences, he has like $1.8 million loans. And you can only write off the interest on the first $1 million of principal.
I think the new law is $750.
Yeah, that's right.
I think for new loans after a certain date, I think the old ones are grandfathered in.
Older loans. These were loans he got way before
Yeah.
2018. So he just owns property. He has 2 primary residences, about 60, 70 miles apart. One he lives in on weekends, and the other he lives on during the week when he's at work. And then he has a rental property over by his house, and he has a rental property in the high desert. So the only rental property that he has a mortgage on is the one over by near Marina Del Rey, which I know the people out here know what that is. So,
Well, he's okay if he's running it through Schedule E, but if he's running it through itemized deductions, though, there is a limit.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know he's got one of the best tax accountants I've ever seen, and we try to get the exact correct books. But I have to work on it very carefully because when he pays insurance, like to Allstate and that. Some of the insurance is for a primary residence. Some of it's for a primary residence. Some of it's for a rental. So it's important that we divvy it all up because it goes onto a different form, whether it goes
Right.
on Schedule E or that. And so it's just interesting. So
Yeah, it gets a little tedious at times. Yeah.
well, actually, I've got it all kind of. I have a different vendor name for when they pay the different ones. I have Allstate for the rental, this rental, Allstate for that rental, and we have the address and everything. Part is, you know how the list name in QuickBooks, you can add something in parentheses after the list name. That's what I do, and then if you grab the right list name, and they're all kind of in a row, it's Allstate 1, Allstate 2, and it has the account number on it, so that it's easy for the person to, oh, this one goes here, and this one goes there, and this one
So
goes.
it remembers the right account to put it in and all of that. Nice.
We pull that right off the bill, so that
Right.
it's in pretty big letters at the top of the bill. So we name these things on purpose so that it's fairly easy.
Got it.
But
Got So I have a totally different subject matter. Matthew, what breed are your dogs? You're muted, Matt.
They are manly Maltese poodles.
And what is yours, Linda?
mine is a Maltese Pomeranian.
I just like the fact that you got another dog. Congratulations.
Well, it wasn't my choice. It was the neighbor showed up with it. So
That's the best kind.
And it lowered your blood pressure.
my blood pressure, it brought it down from 135 over like 90 to 115 over 70. So
That's excellent. That's excellent.
when I own a dog, my blood pressure is fine.
Dogs cure a lot.
They do. They just kind of comfort you and you feel safe.
Every one of my dogs were given to me by somebody. So, and they've always worked out the best way. I always say that the best dogs choose you, not you choosing them. So you should be in great shape, Linda.
No, I guess so. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes. Yes, I'm happy.
So what else are we going to talk about today? I have been getting no response to any of my clients that I have sent anything to this week whatsoever.
Wow.
What have you been sending them?
I met with a lady a week ago, at the end of last week, and she has a nonprofit, and she just was keeping all the books in Excel, but she hasn't done anything for the last 2 years. Taxes haven't been done, and she says she has about $200,000 in different accounts, and she has copies of all the statements in her Excel sheets. And so she was supposed to call me back, and we were supposed to go meet, and I was supposed to kind of evaluate the Excel sheets. And I'm wondering, does anyone else think that it would be proper when you do the engagement letter to require the customer to meet with you, like for 1 hour a week for like 4 weeks? Because it seems to me it's almost impossible to do the bookkeeping when they're not willing to do that, because it's like really
Well,
for me to figure it out what they're doing.
I think it's going to be mandatory for you to meet with her on a weekly basis so you can learn the business.
I actually have in my engagement letter a sentence that says that my work depends on getting the proper information from you in a timely manner.
Right.
Does she have like a lot of 1099 income? 1099 miscellaneous income?
No,
Not yet.
no, I have not looked at her Excel things yet, but it's
Do you know what she does and what their operations are?
no, she runs a nonprofit.
I understand that, but what type of income?
C3, and she runs educational programs. She raises money for different I have not seen any tax returns from her. I've seen nothing.
Oh,
So she needs 990s done.
yeah.
Oh, no, she hasn't done any of that in two years.
They're gonna catch up to her.
There's a huge penalty for not filing a 990 on time. I was on the board of a nonprofit and they
C3,
had a bad habit of not getting their 990s done in time.
right.
If we filed them like 2 months late, it was a $2,500 fine.
Doesn't the IRS have a list of people that are the nonprofits that aren't complying with the taxes?
Well, isn't a nonprofit status run by the state?
No. Well, there's both. There's state nonprofit when you form your corporation, because we're just forming one. We have one, but we're forming another one. And then there's the C1, C2, C3, C4, the different categories there. And that's IRS designated.
Well, it seemed to me at one time, it was like on a marketing type of web seminar, and they said if you want to find nonprofits that need help, the IRS has a list of people that aren't filing their returns.
Well, you have to file a return. You never have to pay tax, but you have to file a return to keep your 501c3 status.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that those people would be in potential trouble if.
So she could actually, in theory, be operating and not have that 501c3 status.
I would say, yeah, for 2 years, because for 2 years they should have finally kind of caught up with her.
Yeah, which would make the people that make the contributions kind of unhappy. They can't take the deduction.
Or they have and didn't know because
If the IRS freezes it back, I mean, I don't think the IRS has enough personnel to do that, but in theory they could.
What happens then if a nonprofit says that they are a 501c3, gives you a letter and has their EIN on that letter, and you file your tax return according to what they're telling you, and they really have lost their status?
Good question. I would think you'd have some sort of basis for, not being penalized. I mean, you had no way of knowing unless they had told you that, hey,
Right.
I don't think everybody makes a contribution, goes and researches it. Boy, this is really a valid 501c.
I'd venture to say no one.
Where's Sarah Laidlaw when we need her?
Yeah, really.
Eye pockets, come on.
Megan, Gen S Turno. So I hear they got hit with a snowstorm up where Ernest is from, but Idaho, Montana, Minnesota.
That's why he went to Sydney.
That's right.
Oh, but wasn't he
There's
just
no snow
complaining about
there. I can tell
California?
I can see my backyard with the green grass very clearly. I looked at it about 20 minutes ago, so I assure you, there might be snow in the mountains, but not where I live.
Okay.
So are you about,
We got a lot of snow.
so Ernest, are you about 15 hours ahead of us? Or 12?
This is Saturday morning,
Yeah.
Saturday.
Where are you?
Sydney, Australia.
Sydney, Australia.
I know
And
my wife's
Shannon,
relatives
did you say
live in.
you got snow? Shannon?
Yeah, we got snow. We actually, because we got stuck in Ohio, we ended up, instead of beating the snowstorm, coming home in the beginning of it.
You even had a snowstorm to go through
Wow.
in your crazy week that you've had.
A bomb cyclone or something?
What a horrible name.
I know. But those people that are in it probably feel that way too. Not only just the name, this is a horrible experience to go through.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, our statewide tornado drill got canceled yesterday because
Hey,
it was flooding and we were in the middle of a blizzard.
silver lining, right?
Where do you live? Where do you live?
I don't even know what to say about that.
Right.
Oh,
All I
boy.
have to worry about is earthquakes.
You know what? I've been through an earthquake, and I will take an earthquake over a hurricane season
Oh,
anytime.
yeah,
Me
definitely.
too. Yeah.
Unless your house comes down on top of you, but other than that, it's so.
I would rather have neither, thank you very much, but
Well, usually an earthquake, it's over with it's half over before you realize what's going on, you know.
Well, it depends on where you're at and what can get fallen on your head.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
ashes falling on your head is no
somewhere-
fun either, right, Matthew?
Well,
If you
I
live
think-
where there's
You
earthquakes,
picking on my? Are you picking on my snow again?
Yeah, black snow. That's right.
there's
I actually thought I caused the San Francisco earthquake.
if
Which
you
one?
Tell your story, Matt.
Which one, Matt?
The one in '89. I lived in Half Moon Bay, which was so earthquake was in Santa Cruz. Half Moon Bay is 25 miles away from it, and my friend at the time had just gotten a brand new little wrist rocket. So we went up to the park, and he was shooting rocks into the bush. Finally gives it to me, and I kid you not, the very first rock I pick up to shoot, the moment that hit the ground, the earthquake started. We looked at each other like, huh? They were like, it's an earthquake! Jumped on our bikes riding home. But yeah, for about a second there, I thought I caused it.
Have you heard my earthquake story? It was in 2000, I think it was 2001, February. I had just entered the restroom and just mounted the porcelain pony. And all of a sudden it started shaking like crazy. I mean, talk about being caught with your pants down. It's also kind of hard pulling your pants up when the ground's moving pretty hard. So.
You thought to yourself, dang, I shouldn't have had Chipotle that day, huh?
Yeah, I'm thinking, what a way to end such a eventful life, you know. In a bathroom, for God's sake, you know.
We had an earthquake about 40 miles off of Long Island here the other day. 3.0.
Really? I didn't hear about that one. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a little baby, but
Yeah.
usually it hits the news.
about the smallest one that you can feel, and that you usually only feel that if you're sitting still or lying down. If you're moving, walking, or driving in a car, a lot of times you won't feel a 3.0.
Did you ever hear that song? Came out in 1969. It was called Day After Day. The whole place is shaken away, and this is one of the lines. This is where you go when there's no San Diego. It looks like we'll be tying the boat up in Idaho.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
We had an earthquake here once. It was a 4.2, I think.
Oh, well, that's a little substantial.
Is that Ohio?
What?
Is that Ohio?
Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota.
Oh,
We had one in New York also, upstate New York. And my father kept saying, no, it's the plumbing. I said, no, that's not. But it was funny. It took about an hour before the TV news people admitted that it really was an earthquake.
Well, you know, Linda, when you're in New York and when the subways go by, sometimes, you know, buildings vibrate and it feels like it.
Yeah, I know.
So you have a way to laugh at the East Coasters, Matthew. You can laugh at us about the earthquakes, and we will laugh at you about the snow.
I like that idea. The only other thing I really don't like from the East Coast are alligators.
Yeah, I don't like them either.
But that's down in the southern part. I don't like
I know.
them a lot either.
I hear they
My good
run
old
pretty
buddy
fast.
Linda has them as neighbors.
I hear they can run pretty fast.
I don't know. I haven't been that close that I need to throw from one.
What is it with Florida? They literally have so many weird animals. Like they have wild boars, right? They've got alligators. They've got all these different things that in Southern California, we don't have that stuff. We got mountain lions up in the mountains, but I don't have to worry about walking my dog and an alligator eating it.
Well, you have to worry about a mountain lion, though.
Yeah.
There are probably cougars not too far from where you live.
Coyotes. You know.
There's a lot of cougars in Camarillo.
I'm not touching that one either.
Wow.
Sorry, my mountain lions. My bad.
That was good. Nick.
Mariette is with us. Mariette's muted.
Mariette and I are going to have a lot of fun next week on Wednesday.
Absolutely can't wait.
Hi,
I'm
Mariette.
pushing
I'm
for you.
with you, but I'm in the car. Oh my gosh, surprising.
I know, right? You and Brandon on the go all the time.
I have a
10 freeway?
No, actually, I am grabbing a coffee. So I am here with all of you while I'm in the Starbucks line getting a coffee. You want to literally know where I'm
Oh, that's a fairly safe place. I recognize that corner.
Yeah, that's like every corner. And I'm wearing my "There's No Crying in Tax Season" shirt. Everybody loves that
I
shirt.
love that shirt. I love that shirt.
I
This
like
is the
that shirt.
perfect time to be wearing it too. We were talking about people crying earlier.
Oh,
A lot of
yeah.
people crying this year.
Yeah, well,
Undulated people as
It's a great shirt. If you're ever at a conference where Intuit's at, they give them away. They don't give them away like you have to kind of go there and say, "Do you have one of those cool shirts?" So if they do, get one. They're so fun to wear. I was
oh,
talking about this morning with Seth about branding. Every time I wear this out, I always wear it like 2 or 3 days before a deadline. Everybody stops me. And they're like, "Okay, first of all, that shirt's hilarious. Second of all, can I ask you a tax question?" I'm like, "Oh, God."
Nice.
did
But
you see
Marianne, you
where,
were good.
I was going to say, did you see where H&R Block and Intuit persuaded Congress to, there's a bill going through Congress that's, I think, the taxpayer protection or something like that. Anyway, their IRS will not be able to do free e-filing. They're going to rely on Intuit and H&R Block.
What?
What?
wow.
There, right now, they have a provision where the IRS is trying to set up a provision where you can e-file for free if your income's under a certain number. And Intuit and HR Block doesn't want them to be in that market, so they've got this bill working its way through Congress.
TurboTax Live Government Edition.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It makes sense, though, because
It's got some interesting laws going through right now, too. So,
no, but it makes sense because TurboTax and HR Block already have a free version under, I think it's 50,000. So
Yeah, something like that.
why would the IRS want it? Because they already have a free version.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Well, I guess the deal is that Intuit and HR Block are supposed to keep their program going so the IRS wouldn't get involved. You know, the free
Got it.
tax.
That makes sense.
Got it. So Matthew, I am still pushing for you getting a Intuit Fedora.
Thank you.
I still bring that up all the time. I don't know what the problem is. I think you need an Intuit Fedora.
This is the swag I've received from Intuit so far.
okay.
Okay.
So, and this is actually from the QB community, Cheryl in there, which is cool. I'd love to have one of those hats. So,
I think it would be great for you and Mariette to be on desktop time at the same time with your fedoras.
oh, that would be really
You
awesome.
could
But I
get a
don't,
feather with it or something.
Hey, Matt, did you get your shirt?
no,
You haven't gotten your shirt?
no, no.
Hmm.
Nobody sends me swag ever. It's okay though. Marianne, I'm just gonna follow you around to QuickBooks Connect because I know you're like the swag champion out there, right? And just get 2 of everything and hook me up. She says, "Okay, perfect, thank you."
Well, do we have any other subjects we want to talk about today? Anything else on the air?
There's some people looking to try to find tickets to go to Scaling New Heights at the lower price. Like maybe some people won't be going and they're willing to sell their ticket. So, but it is interesting. There are not as many flights headed into Salt Lake City as there were. And the price has gone up on them quite a bit, like in the last 2 weeks.
Is this because of the
737 MAX airplane being grounded around the world, including in the U.S. So
Yeah.
that's the plane that puts a real damper on many. I know Southwest for one, but there's a number of other airplanes that fly that 737 MAX, and they can't fly them. They've actually parked them up in the desert in Victorville near me. They got special permission to fly them there and park them in the desert where it's very dry and
put them on ice until they can figure out what the problem is and reprogram them.
Well, they pretty much know what the problem is. It was a safety feature, and the problem is the safety feature caused both planes to crash.
Yeah, how much faith are you going to have in the software fix? I mean, if it was a hardware, you'd have maybe a little more faith. As a software, how do you know that they fixed it until it crashes?
Well, I read the whole story. You can go read the story, but there's a special sensor so that if the plane starts going slow enough to stall, the sensor senses it and forces the nose of the plane down. Well, that's fine if you're at 33,000 feet. But if you're at 5,000 feet flying over an ocean or something, and you're going slow.
Better learn to swim.
They didn't put the directions on how to deal with it into the little book that it's all in. If this goes wrong, you do this. Well, the directions weren't in the book. Now, in America,
they need a 737 MAX for dummies.
Yeah. How to prevent stalls.
How to prevent stalls. That's right.
they did it in America. The pilots in America knew about it. So that's why they haven't crashed in America, because they knew how to override it.
Was it manual just in English or something?
They didn't include as part of the training when the guys in foreign countries were getting their training on the plane?
Well, the two planes that crashed were in Java, East Timor.
And Ethiopia, right?
English is not their first language.
Right.
So all the training and the directions and everything was in English.
Of course.
It wasn't emphasized. The other thing is, there was another feature that all the airlines could have bought, that when that sensor engaged and started to bring the nose down, it would have flashed a light and warned everybody what was going on. But nobody wanted to pay for the second safety feature, so they didn't.
Well, how about a stop? Yeah, anything under 10,000 feet, it doesn't work, period.
There you go.
A big sign in the cockpit, you know?
Yeah,
Well,
don't
the
worry.
reason all the instructions and everything are in English is because English is the aviation language. There's one aviation language. So all air traffic control and everything is in English.
Yes. It's
Well,
the
then-
language of the
Then
sea.
they should make it mandatory that these pilots learn English then, I would imagine. The ones even
I
in foreign
would
countries.
think, but hey, they didn't ask me the first question either, so.
They do try to train. A lot of pilots do come over here to America. I've been up in some of the towers around here in the smaller airports, and pilots come in, and these air traffic controllers come in, and they're trained, and they get to practice a lot. But it takes time.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but mostly what we're doing is not dealing with urgent emergency situations. We're dealing with things that we just say, your emergency isn't my emergency. I'll do the best I can with it.
Well, I don't know about you, but I don't think I'd want if I'm in an airplane that's, may crash, I don't think I'd want my pilot trying to look for the answer in their book,
That's true too, exactly.
So,
All right, I think that we're going to end on this subject.
Real quickly, have you guys seen the videos where like these planes have come down in such heavy winds, they literally like float down and land like almost sideways? I was trying to find a video faster, but it's insane. Like you're sitting there and you're watching this plane's coming in, and it literally is not moving because there's such heavy wind.
Wow.
And it kind of goes and sits right down.
And just sinks right down. Wow.
Have any of you ever rode in a airliner when there's heavy turbulence?
oh, I have, yeah.
Yeah.
My dad actually was
Not
in
a
a plane
good
crash.
feeling, is it? It's not a good feeling. No.
Mm-mm.
No.
As your stomach's up in your throat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty, well, I think we're going to end for today. Everybody check out Matt and Mariette.
Isn't next week Good Friday?
Yes.
The 19th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. Gina, I'll put a link in your group again for Wednesday's event.
Yeah,
Awesome.
see you guys there.
See you
And
out
look at this
there.
really quickly. I want to end with this. Look what I have. I think you will all be so excited. Look at this.
What is it?
more
Green
swag.
screen.
Green screen.
You don't
Oh.
see it? My green screen. I'm gonna do an unboxing for all you guys later on.
Oh, cool.
What's going on Wednesday?
We are going to be on desktop time. So QBox's monthly webinar desktop time. And it's Marriott and I are the hosts for this event. We're talking about navigating the cloud revolution. So we're going to talk about some of the changes in the accounting industry, as well as introduce a hybrid workflow that includes using desktop platforms with cloud-based technologies, i.e. vendor sync. So
What
Do
time?
you know Joni Mann? She's a friend of Doug Sleater's. I mean, she's pretty high on hybrid systems, you know. She's not too crazy about the cloud in the sense of like the SaaS type of system. She's more of a, hybrid, or hosted.
sounds like the perfect kind of person I should be talking to. So be beautiful. Dwayne, I'll make sure you get a link, or I'll send you over a link for what we're talking about also. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
All righty. See you
All right.
all. Same time, same place.
Okay. Have a
Next
good
week.
weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.